again, when I came out with the exponential age in 2020, people thought I was nuts. I'm like, this is going to be the fastest growth of technology in all human history. It's going to be the largest change we will ever go through as a species in the shortest period of time. This video is really about why you've got 6 years left to make as much money as possible before everything we kind of understand about economics, markets, business falls apart. And I can't see beyond that, so I call it the economic singularity. What the am I talking about here? I'm talking about the magic formula for GDP growth.
The world is evolving rapidly, and with it comes a wealth of opportunities for those who recognize the significance of this era. Real Vision founder and CEO RAOUL PAL has been emphasizing this message, predicting that by 2030, the world will undergo a profound transformation he calls the exponential age or economic singularity. This shift, driven by technological innovations like robotics and artificial intelligence, is expected to disrupt every aspect of life at an astonishing pace over the next 6 years. While some anticipate a collapse of the global monetary system, PAL offers a different perspective. He believes the next evolution of our monetary system is already in progress, allowing for a smoother transition. PAL's thesis centers on rapid advancements in AI and robotics, which he sees as key to addressing the world's severe debt challenges. He argues that current levels of production are insufficient to manage the growing debt burden, but AI's ability to infinitely scale knowledge and robotics' capacity to expand physical labor could revolutionize productivity and potentially resolve the debt crisis. PAL cautions, however, that this transformation will result in a world vastly different from today. He stresses the importance of seizing opportunities in the cryptocurrency industry within the next 6 years before the world becomes unrecognizable and traditional economic models and investment strategies become obsolete. In a recent video on his YouTube channel, RAOUL PAL, the journeyman, the former Goldman Sachs executive, elaborates on the exponential age, predicting it will be fully realized by 2030 and emphasizing the urgency of capitalizing on these immense opportunities before it's too late. Before we continue with the rest of the video, do check out daily 5-minute crypto newsletter with all the latest crypto and Bitcoin news. It's a fantastic analysis of on-chain crypto data and breakdowns, and the best part is it's absolutely free. They'll cover expert predictions, breakdowns of on-chain crypto data, and any breaking news you need to know, all in a nutshell. Click the first link in the description and enter your email to join over 50,000 others in becoming a better crypto investor right now.
So GDP growth in the magic formula is driven by population growth, productivity growth, and debt growth. So population growth in all of the developed world, including China, we've got falling, aging demographics. Many populations are now shrinking. The US, due to immigration, is just holding its head above water, but the rate of change of population is collapsing everywhere. So that means that the economic driver of population growth has disappeared. We've seen that in GDP because trend rate of GDP has been falling and falling and falling, and it's gone from, in the US, from like 4% to 1.75%. And across the rest of the developed world, it's fallen even further, in most cases below 1%, matching population growth collapsing in those regions. The other side of the equation is productivity growth. Productivity growth is basically units of output per kilojoule of energy, or in other words, what you get out of your cost of electricity. So if electricity is the kind of the energy that makes the world go round, the economic energy, then we need to see what we get out of that energy. So technology has been the big driver of productivity, but the problem is as populations get older, they become less productive. So it's really been a battle, and technology has not won that battle for quite some time. Then we've had debt growth, and I've talked extensively about debt growth. Debt growth basically stops in 2008, and all debt growth is now is servicing of old debts. So that economic engine's disappeared. If you think about the Chinese economic miracle, that was a massive population of, at the time, I think it was 1.1 billion people back in the mid-90s. And what they did was come into the global labor force. The economy of China opened up. That's a massive GDP push. Productivity, well, they built the roads, the railways, the power plants, and all of the stuff that makes China what it is today. That was a productivity boost. And then they increased debt as well. So we had a huge economic boom in China, which we're now paying back with aging population because of the one-child policy. And we've also got a huge problem on the debt side. How the hell do we solve this? You see, the everything code will just keep repeating ad infinitum, where we just have to keep debasing currency to try and offset the debt payments because GDP growth is not fast enough. So GDP is is kind of the economic cash flow that pays for the debts. If GDP growth is low, interest rates need to be low, which is why the Fed are going to cut and all of those kind of things. But also, as GDP growth goes lower, debt growth keeps ballooning and you have to keep refinancing all of this debt because there's not enough growth to grow your way out of the debt-based economy. But things started changing at the margin and it really accelerated over COVID. Firstly, Amazon, I think, now employs more robots than it does humans. And this is a trend I've been pointing out for some time. Humans are cheaper replaced by robots that are more productive. They don't complain, they don't have unions, and over time, they're much, much cheaper. So the rise of the robots is just starting. We're seeing Tesla with its Optimus robot. We're seeing Figure. We're seeing Boston Dynamics. We're seeing a whole bunch of robotics companies. So humanoid robots really start to replace humans because they have dexterity. So they don't have to be for single tasks, much like machine learning was for single tasks and AI is much broader. We're going to see multitasking robots. So that starts helping bolster the lack of humans in the population. But the robots will take longer to scale. Physical hardware, you have to manufacture it, you have to design it. We're still at early stage of this. So yes, we will see Tesla robots and others coming into, let's say, factories, but in our houses, it's probably 10, 15 years away, but it's coming. Now, the big lever here is AI. AI is basically infinite human knowledge.
In a post on the social media platform X, Pal vividly highlighted the disruptive nature of the coming exponential age. He stated, "My job as a macro analyst and entrepreneur is to live in the future and assess how the world might look and the probabilistic path to get there." Over the next 6 years, Pal predicts that artificial general intelligence models will rapidly advance in power while their costs plummet. This shift will usher in a new era of technological productivity, where AI functions as infinite knowledge workers, fundamentally transforming the economy. Pal poses critical questions. What will GDP mean in a world where AGI can dominate global markets? How will the unprecedented speed of business formation and destruction reshape the economic landscape? Pal's strategy is to capitalize on this transformation by investing heavily in cryptocurrencies over the next 6 years, planning to exit the markets before the world becomes unrecognizable by 2030. As the singularity approaches, he envisions himself relaxing on a serene beach, watching others struggle to comprehend the new world and economy. This vision drives his urgency, emphasizing that now is the time to act before the cryptocurrency market skyrockets from its current $2 trillion to an estimated $100 trillion by 2030. Let's return to the video.
What we're doing is we're using the everything code to just keep paying the debts to stall the system until this kicks in. There are two economic centers of gravity where this is really being worked on hard. Firstly, the US and China is hyper-focused on the AI. He who controls the AGI controls the world. Now, I think we'll have multiple AGIs, and whether they intersect and combine, we don't know that future. And I'm not concerned about that now. That's a topic for another day. Really what I'm thinking about is the massive knowledge that comes from that. It's infinite humans, right? Infinite humans. So knowledge has zero scarcity. So therefore, it's zero in value. Everything that gets digitized goes to zero in value, which is one of the reasons why blockchain is so important, because you can create digital scarcity. But knowledge is going to go to zero in value. It's going to be like water everywhere. What the does that mean? Well, I'll come on to a bit on that in a sec. And when you scale robots as well, again, this is more infinite humans. On the other side of the equation is productivity. So we talked about productivity being based around output per unit of electricity, let's call it. Now, people look at what Europe's doing and their drive towards green energy and say, what a ridiculous waste of resources. They're pumping money into this. It's all going to be burned. What a waste of time. It's not. In fact, it's probably one of the most important things. And both China and Europe are leading this charge. And in fact, China's leading it overall. You see, using renewable energy creates two outcomes. Firstly, it massively lowers the cost of electricity. Renewable energy shows an exponentiality in the cost. So cost keeps collapsing each year. So it's down sort of 99% over the last 20 years, and it'll keep driving lower and lower and lower as we get more effective in harnessing the sun's energy. The sun's energy, this is a massive nuclear reactor in the sky that's basically free to use, and it'll get cheaper and cheaper to capture for all of us. Now, right now, people say, well, yeah, but it doesn't scale. Right now being the words. Scaling means battery technology. Scaling means decentralized grids, not centralized grids. You don't need centralized grids to run cities. You can use decentralized grids, in which case solar, geothermal, and others scale massively, because you just need smaller amounts in more places than a big amount in one place, which is where most people get this wrong. And the reason why we're doing that is because it's much more efficient to try and eventually get it from this massive nuclear reactor in the sky than it is from burning old trees and fossils from the past. It's actually a less efficient way of doing it, even though it's very energy dense. Energy density is less important if you've got abundant energy in terms of renewables. Obviously, nuclear is the other massive play here. Nuclear, once it ramps up, basically brings the cost of electricity to zero. So I think the marginal cost of electricity goes to zero. And I think Europeans and Chinese are driving it there, and they're driving it on purpose, because there's no way out of this economic trap until we drive down the cost of electricity to negligible costs, and therefore it becomes a multiplier as the technology scales on the other side, i.e. we become more efficient at using that electricity cost. That's a huge multiplier. So we've got two massive multipliers coming. One is infinite humans. Two is the productivity miracle of cheap energy. Those two things completely change what economies look like. So if you think about that formula, suddenly if you double the amount of intelligence in the planet in 1 year, you can potentially, move GDP by 30% in a year if that intelligence is used. And when you drive down the cost of electricity and productivity rises, suddenly you start to get bizarre outcomes.
According to Pal, the primary responsibility of the Fed and other central banks is now to support the baby boomer investor complex, as its collapse could lead to a catastrophic breakdown of the entire financial system, plunging everything into chaos. However, Pal suggests that if his predictions about the exponential age are accurate, the future may unfold quite differently. Instead of a global collapse, cryptocurrency prices could surge dramatically, while advancements in AI, robotics, and renewable energy could address global GDP challenges. Pal's insights highlight the rapid changes we are experiencing as we approach an era where technology dominates every sector. Investors who position themselves wisely now could play a crucial role in shaping this future. What do you think of Pal's exponential age thesis? Share your thoughts and observations in the comments below. For more Daily Dose Crypto news, check out these two awesome videos on your screen. Click now and we will see you on the next video.